Yo guys, this is Ryan, it's your favorite Russian talking. Today we're gonna have two different videos for you, my friends. One is gonna be addition to my gladiator macros videos, where we're gonna talk about different macros that are needed for the Legion, especially with the corpse shield and different pets, different abilities. I'm gonna show you exactly which macros we're gonna need to be competitive in PvP. And the second video I'm gonna be releasing is gonna be on my philosophy channel. That video is going to be about us, men and potential traps that we could have. And one of those traps is actually MGTO, men going their own way, men completely alienating themselves from women. I'm going to talk about the good things about it and potential traps that the movement can have. So let's get started. So the first macro that we have here is going to be shoulder tip Wraith Walk, cast Wraith Walk, and cancel aura Wraith Walk. So idea of this macro is actually very useful when you need to get out of the roots, but cancel them right away, so you need to go back to attacking as well. This macro is mandatory. It's /cast huddle /cast corpse shield. This is probably one of the most important new macros that you guys are gonna have to use with the corpse shield. First of all, you need to make sure that you pop dark transformation first, but then when you're gonna use a corpse shield, you're actually going to use a huddle at the same time. So what's the idea? The pet will take 50% less damage, meaning that as you take damage and 90% of the damage that you take transfers back to the pet, then your pet is going to shrug off 50% of that damage. And that is really important, because our pet right now, for example, has 500,000 HP. But guess what? The Mortal Strike from the Warrior hits for 700,000-800,000. So it's enough to one-shot your pet if you're not gonna use huddle. This is a must to have. My old subscribers are all too familiar with this macro. This macro is life. This macro is awesome sauce. This macro is pretty much what you need to use for every single crowd control or different kind of sort of abilities. What this macro really is, it's kind of a 3-in-1 combination. It does mouseover, it does focus modifier, it does the main target. And if you macro pretty much anything with it, it's pretty awesome. So let's take a look at this. I'm gonna actually focus Moonbark, and I am gonna target this Shadow Moon Stalker, but I'm gonna order my pet to attack this guy, and it's mouseover. Now, I am actually gonna try to attack this guy. I'm gonna have him targeted. Wow, he's dying very fast. Alright. So let me target the other person right here. So, but I can still focus grip, focus stun, focus pet stun, right? So that's just a one macro. It basically lets you use it as a default, gives you a mouse over option. So let's say you have your focus, you have your target, but you want to mouse over stun somebody, it by default does that. Also, on top of it, if you use shift as a modifier, then it will do it, it will cast it onto your focus. Otherwise, if you just press the button, it will stun your main target. So the very first thing about this, you need to make sure that your shift modifier is unbinded. For example, C is my focus, C is my asphixiate. So if I press C, it will asphyxiate my own target. If I do a shift C, I will asphyxiate my focus target. For that, you need to make sure that your shift C, for example, is completely unbinded. So let me show you. Targeting this guy, focusing this person, shift C. And then let's do a shift lip into shift stun. Makes a macro so much easier. For macros about a pet leap, pet stun, asphixiate, and pretty much all the macros that we're supposed to have for Worlds of Draenor, I am not gonna talk about them because I already explained you the basic principle of the macro. But for the list of those macros, check my description down below and you'll see them, my friends. The three new macros that we need for our pet, for the Belcher, essentially, is the macro line that I gave you, with a hook at the end, with a smash at the end for the stun, and with the corpse shield, you need to use the macro called /cast protective bile, and then cast corpse shield. Now, as there are pet leap, pet stun macro for your ghoul, there's also such thing for your Belcher. Belcher is pretty awesome, and there is a macro that you can work on. Basically, it's gonna be about the hook, and then there's another one about the smash, basically a leap and the stun. But most importantly, also don't forget to use a protective bile. The cool thing about the Belcher is he doesn't need to be enraged to use the bile, to protective bile, to use the huddle. However, with the Belcher, it's a little bit different here, my friends. And the difference is pretty awesome, because if you enrage him, then his protective bile is actually going to be 60%, not 50%. Meaning it actually makes it a little bit more effective as well. Check out my other old video about the macros. It got amazing reviews. Lots of people loved it. Check it out, guys, if you have any more questions. And check the description down below for more information. And don't forget to check out my philosophy channel. Thank you for watching, and до свидания.